Coming up this morning on the Dattitude podcast, Draft Day Eve is better than Christmas Eve for some of you. The only problem this year is you're not sure what size jersey to buy for whoever your newest New Orleans Saint might be. Will it be an XL for a quarterback? How about a 2X for a tight end? Maybe a 3X for that edge rusher they so desperately need. Well, I'm hoping for the super grande size for the offensive lineman to help block for, well, whoever. What a mess. The good news is we have Eric Asher here to help answer all the questions, and we'll have some fun along the way in doing so. Gabe is here for his 2 cents on tomorrow's first round, and he'll try to get back into suddenly unstoppable machine and man versus machine. And lastly, I will say goodbye to one of my favorite and most underrated play-by-play announcers of all time. I know you're ready. I hope we don't break the comment stream. Roll them, Phil.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, Dattitude family? You got the coffee maker fixed? You're going to need a few cups tomorrow night. Oh, then you might need a bottle opener if the Saints go the way you don't want them to go. Y'all all got opinions. Y'all all got the, if this happens, if that happens, if this happens, if that happens. None of us know what's going to happen. Either way, we will have fun, especially if my head explodes on live internet TV. Should be able to keep it together for a Dattitude, episode number 365, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Wednesday, April the 23rd, 2025. Just think if we were like Matt Moscona and did a show every single morning. Today would actually be New Year's Eve. Break out the fireworks. Good time for fireworks. Day before the draft. I am your host, Jim Derry, 34 and a half years. 34.7 years now. The New Orleans sports media scene. I thank you for being a part of the ever-growing Dattitude family. We have had a great couple weeks on Dattitude. Thank you so much for being a part of the family, whether you're new, whether you've joined us in the last couple weeks, whether you've been with us for a couple months, whether you've been with us for the last year of the branding, or whether you've been with us since day one back in 2021. That's right. September of 2021. That's how long it's been with this podcast. Hard to believe someday. You can be a part of the show by typing in your comment. You know how to do it. If you haven't done so, if you've never typed in a comment, today is the day. We want your comments. It's going to be fun. Whether you watch it on YouTube or Facebook. And if you're watching on Facebook, why? The Dattitude family lives on our YouTube page. Go join it. Please. You can click the little like button while you're there. They say it helps the algorithm, whatever the hell that means. You can get in touch with me on X, Jim Derry Jr., via email at jderry@theadvocate.com. All right, wait, what's on the show today? If you are watching live, you can see what is on the show today. And if you're not watching live, you pretty much know what's on the show today. That's right. No one has a clue. All those experts who said this was going to happen, that was going to happen. My mock draft 1.0 said this. My mock draft 4.0 says this. My mock draft 9.76 says this. No clue. Nobody has a clue. If they tell you they have a clue, they're lying. They have no clue. And to show you, even the odds makers this year don't have a clue. The odds have changed dramatically since Monday. We're going to get into that with Eric Asher, who is going to join the show this morning and be here about 11:30. I told him to come a little bit later. Wanted to have some time with the Who Dat family today and talk about just whatever. We're going to get to the comment stream in a minute. Yeah, I want to hear from you guys. So we're going to talk about that odd shift. Probably talk about that with Eric, but from we showed you the changes on Monday. We showed you the change from Friday to Monday, and we told you this was just the beginning of the change because Adam Schefter had already backed off. The Saints were going to be in the running. They're going to be one of those ones that we can get Shedeur Sanders now. No. Not going to get Shedeur Sanders. They've changed. Diana Rossini, I don't even know if she's still alive. Haven't heard from. She hasn't mentioned a word about the Saints in over a week. Who knows where she's at? Anyone else? Everybody's singing a different tune. That's why we tell you. Anybody who tells you they know what they're talking about, they don't know what they're talking about. None of them. It's just a fact. No one knows a damn thing. What we do know now is if you believe the odds, if you believe what the experts are telling you now, and what makes sense and what we've been telling you here, likely no quarterback in the first round. Doesn't mean no quarterback in the first round because there are two different ways the Saints could draft a quarterback in the first round. They could reach. They could say, I was fooling everybody. Everybody took the bait, and then they didn't take the bait, and they took whatever. We're really going to draft Shedeur Sanders, or we're really going to draft Jackson Dart at 9. I doubt that seriously. But that's just one way they could draft a quarterback in the first round. They could sneak back into the first round. We've seen the Saints do it time and time again. So when I say likely no quarterback in the first round, I'm not saying what I was saying 2-3 months ago when I was saying 0.0, okay? We all know what's going on with Derek Carr or the rumors about Derek Carr. We don't really know what's going on with Derek Carr. Whole different story. We'll talk about that with Eric Asher later on. All kinds of things to talk about. We got a lot of comments in the comment stream, so I'll show some of them now, and then we're gonna get to my friends at Evangeline, and then this will be Mono E Wednesday until Eric comes on at 11:30. Good morning, Charles Mangus. Where you at, Dattitude family? Absolutely. 30 hours or so till our first pick. Please no quarterback in the first round. I'm sure before I get to the end of the comments, somebody will say, please, quarterback. Please draft a quarterback in the first round. I have friends on Facebook saying, oh, my God, I can't believe they're really not going to draft Shedeur Sanders. Yeah, so, people are. I've never seen, usually the fan base wants something, okay? It's usually one of, not necessarily one of two players, but one of two positions. This year, it's not only do we not know what the Saints are going to take, we don't even know what the fans want because the fans are all over the place. Get to that in a little bit. Mark Gapsky. Good morning. Happy draft eve. Who dat? Kyle Sherman. Morning. The day is almost upon us. I can't wait. Chad Gage. Hello to me and all. After we do not pick a quarterback in round 1, what is too much to give up to move up for Dart? You're asking me, or what do I think? I don't believe all the hype about Dart. I don't believe all the Saints. It went from the Saints going to draft Dart at 9 or draft Shedeur Sanders. It was one or the other. If at one point about 2 weeks ago, if you looked at any experts mock draft, almost not all of them, but almost every single one of them had either Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart in that 9 spot. I wonder what made them fall down. How about it wasn't logical? So now if the Saints are going to draft Dart, they're going to trade up to get him. But the problem is when they would trade up to get him, it's going to be about the same time that other teams are going to be trading up to want him too. If you're asking me what is too much, anything is too much. Don't trade up at all. If he's still there when you pick at 40 and that's what you want, I don't think he'll still be there. But if that's what you want at 40 and he's still there, go for it. Stop trading up. J.C. Brar, hello from Denver. Not snowing today, is it? It certainly ain't snowing here. David Nola, 985. I live in the 985. Let's go. UBN, how about them Cubbies? Absolutely. What a game last night. To show you the typical Gen Zer. My Gen Zer son came over for dinner last night. We turned the Cubs game on. I don't know. What was the third batter of the game? Literally, it had to be because there was no outs in the top of the first. Third batter of the game, I think. Whatever it was, 3-run homer. It's 3-0. Dodgers. He said, game's over. I said, game's over. That's the Gen Zer attitude. This is the same kid, by the way, I gave tickets to they were still the Redskins, so I could call them that. There's the Redskins Saints. You all remember this game. Kirk Cousins was playing for the Redskins. They led by 15. This game's over, and he left. I knew he left. Saints came back, Drew Brees, blam, blam, blam. Next thing you know, Saints tied up, win. He left. I waited to text him. I said, you left, didn't you? Yeah, I left. Gen Z, game's over. Whatever. But how about them Cubbies? Good morning, Dylan Smith. Let's have a great day. Absolutely, because tomorrow might not be a great day. Kyle Sherman's in Oregon. Good for you. I'm sure the weather is nice up there. David says, I hope day 2 of the draft. Everybody's getting excited about day 2 all of a sudden. I'm not sure what's going to happen day 2, but I will be broadcasting baseball, so I will not be on the air. I think the Saints Insiders are still going to have a show on Friday evening. I think we may do a show on Saturday afternoon. I'm going to try to. I don't know if I'm going to be able to or not, but I'm going to try to. If not, we'll have to wait till Monday. Earl's Pick says the one thing that has him feeling a little bit better about the draft is it's Coach Moore and not Allen back there picking with Loomis. Amen to that, Earl. Russell Pintado just joined the Dattitude family 2 weeks ago. I mean, you can't go wrong, Russell. Is that you or is that John Lennon? Or do you look like John Lennon? That's pretty cool. Apathy says if the Saints trade back into the first and pick Milroe, that ain't happening. They wouldn't pick Milroe in the first. Well, I'm not going to say never, Apathy. I just don't know. Moscona would break down like the rain pumps in New Orleans during an afternoon thunderstorm. I'm telling you, if the Saints draft Milroe at all, I got to have Moscona on the show. It's going to happen. I'll probably have him on anyway. Scott J says, good morning. It seems like every podcast is better than the last. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you. All right, we got some more comments, and I told you about what's going to be on the show today. We're going to get the straight Saints in just a minute. We'll talk a little bit about odds. Again, I'm probably going to save the odds part till we get to Eric Asher. But before we get to the rest of the show, I'm fumbling. I bit. You ever bite? You bite your lip. Yeah, everyone's bit their lip. Do you ever bite the inside of your lip? It's killing me, Smalls. I bit the inside of my lip, and it's like swollen in there. And now it's like I'm almost scared to take a bite. And like when I talk, it feels like I'm going to bite the side of my lip again. So if you notice a little bit swollen, whatever. It's always something, man. Maybe the draft gods are getting me for like messing with, for taking up for Derek Carr, you Derek Carr lover. We'll get you. Even the gods hate Derek Carr. Before we get to the rest of the show, let me tell you about our friends at Evangeline Securities. Of course, they are a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. And just as importantly, they can help figure out what that business is worth. Maybe more importantly, right? I mean, if you're thinking about selling your business, you want to know what it's worth first. If you're thinking about it, or if someone you know and love is thinking about it, it's time to tap them on the shoulder. Or if it's you, reach out to Evangeline's founding and managing partners, Nick Braden and Ron Hemelt. They will start by scheduling a complimentary valuation of your company from their offices, either on Poydras Street or in Lafayette. And from there, you will be well informed to begin to make the decision on if you decide to proceed. Maybe next year, you'll be the special guest carrying the card to the podium for the 2026 NFL Draft, in which the Saints finally select Derek Carr's replacement. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. We'll fill you in more later in the show. In the meantime, you can check them out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. All right. You know Eric Asher is coming on in about 15 minutes, maybe a little less. He's always here early. You know what? If he comes in early, I'll probably put him on a little early. All right, let's get back to the comments. I told you they were going to be good today. I hope we don't break the comment stream. Where did we leave off? All right. Charles Manga says, get an O-line in the first round, trade up and get Dart. Then after that, go. Then off AK was a third round pick. There's too much talk about. Here's another reason why I don't think they're going to get Dart. There's too much talk about it. I mean, the experts who are so set on the Saints picking Shedeur Sanders or Dart, they're all talking about how, well, there's been a lot of talk on Airline Drive about Saints moving up to get Dart in the first round. There's a lot of talk about a lot of teams moving up to get Dart, either the early second round or late first. If they want Dart, and they're determined to do this in the first round, then trade down and get extra picks to go with it. I'm going to tell you what I hope they do. We're going to have our mock draft tomorrow. By the way, tomorrow is a big day here on the channel here and across the NOLA.com platform, because we're going to have our mock draft tomorrow. It's going to be Gabe Henderson drafting 1-4. He's going to, we all get every third pick. Okay. How it's going to work. Of course it's rigged to where I pick 9th. So it'll be Gabe, then Zach, then me, then Gabe, then Zach, then me, and so on. We'll make our pick. We'll talk about it for 30 seconds, and the other two will each get 30 seconds to talk about whether that was the right pick, if that's what they would have picked there, what they think might happen there. Anyway, we're going to have fun with it. It's going to be complete. This is going to be a fun mock. This is going to be super serious, like, oh, no, how can you do that? No, it's going to be fun. And, of course, I get to make the Saints pick. We each have 30 seconds to make the pick, to talk about the pick, and we each have 30 seconds to debate and say the other person's an idiot. I don't know. Not that I would ever do that or anything like that. Hal Sherman wants some trench warfare. Charles Mangus says he's been here since 2023. Hey, I love it. Phil Mariande says, good morning, Saints fans from Texas. Just relax. What are you, Aaron Rodgers? RELAX. Just kidding. Jay Tucker Rafferty. The only thing anybody knows is that Ward, Hunter, and Carter are going to go top 3. After that, it's a crapshoot. I agree. That's why I don't think, even though we have 30 seconds per pick, I don't think any of us are going to take 30 seconds with those first 3 picks. And Charles, we don't know this. All we know is that we picked number 9. We don't know that we picked number 9. We picked number 9 right now. What are the odds that the Saints actually picked at 9? I think it's 80%, 75 to 80%. It's definitely not 100%. Cecil, or if it's Cecil, I'm sorry, Cecil Evans, for the love of God, please no Tyler Shuck. At 26 years old and an injury history with the Saints training staff, he will be in ICU before preseason is over. Cecil, I am on your side with that one. I do not want Tyler. The more I look into Tyler Shuck, the more I'm not impressed. I don't understand why other people are impressed, because his numbers aren't that great. They really aren't that great. I mean, why is everybody all over Tyler Shuck all of a sudden? I don't get it. Scott J says, I hope we do not trade up at all. They need all 9 picks. That's why I hope you trade down and get more than 9 picks. David Nola says they have so many holes, they need as many top 150 picks as possible. Absolutely. Barry says, good morning. Good morning. Joseph Long. I probably should read these before I just click on them. I haven't been burned yet, but I could be. Joseph Long, they will trade down with Denver and take Dart. It's a possibility. Wouldn't that be some irony if the Saints traded down with your boy Peyton and got their quarterback and he had Dart? Look, my opinions on Dart are out there, but if I'm wrong, they do trade down, they get Dart, and Dart ends up being the quarterback of the future. Wouldn't that be some irony? Would be. Jay says he's coming around to my thinking. If Genti or Warren are not there, take Campbell or Mason Graham. If those guys, I mean, all 4 of those guys might be gone. I don't think it's starting to look more and more like Tyler Warren will be there at 9. And the odds makers are now, I think his over-under is now a 10.5 draft spot. So it's looking like he'll be there. I'm starting to come around to Mike Detillier. JC says it's not snowing. Denver at 65 and sunny. Well, I am, as much as I love doing baseball play-by-play, I am told the weather for our game on Saturday will be in the high 80s to potentially 90. Yikes. What else we got here? Good morning, John Carter. Welcome. Chad Gage. Fight through it. We are Gen X. Yeah. I wonder if my baby boomer dad said the same crap about me. I mean, look, I guess you don't remember things like that, but maybe you don't remember being a numbnuts. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I was a dumb kid. I did a lot of dumb stuff. I can go back and tell you. even at his age, he's going to be 27 next month. I'm trying to think when I was 27. Yeah, I did a lot of dumb stuff. Just don't know. Just don't know. Some things they say, though. It's not just him. It's a lot of people that age. Booker says I'm the only person who's still on that Derek Carr hill. I'm not on the Derek Carr hill. I'm just telling you what is reality. Reality is that Derek Carr is going to be the quarterback on opening day, whether you like it or not. And I know you don't. I don't have to say whether you like it or not, even though you don't like it. Derek Carr is going to be the quarterback. If I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong. What makes common sense? Derek Carr is going to be the quarterback. That's what makes sense. Even if they draft Jackson Dart, Derek Carr is going to be the quarterback. That still makes common sense. The Rat lovers won't like it because if Jackson Dart gets drafted, Rattler's probably gone. Because Derek Carr will still be the quarterback. Jackson Dart will sit behind him for a year. Boy, y'all would lose y'all's mind. These comments would be on fire for months. Fire. Apathy. Lots of chatter about. Here we go with chatter again. Saints drafted Josh Connerly at 9. You know how much chatter I've been hearing for if for no other reason, get this draft over with. I'm sick of chatter. I really am. David says he fears the Saints draft Shuck at 40. I don't think they will. Who knows? Let's see. Phil says if Genty is there at 9, trade back with Dallas for 1st and 3rd this year. Maybe. I think you get more for that. Honestly. Maybe. I don't know if Genty is there. I'd almost say take Genty. The heck with trading. I mean, AK 41's not going to be here much longer. And is he 30 or 31 this year? I keep forgetting. Let me look this up. He is going to be 30 on July 25th. So he's basically 30. Now he's going into his 30-year-old season. They'll have him one more year. Got to have another running back anyway. If somehow Genty is there at 9, you take him. I think the chance of him being there at 9 are super slim. I don't see him getting past the Raiders. And I mean, if he got to the Panthers, wouldn't the Panthers take him too? I don't know. I don't see him getting past the Raiders. I just don't. We'll see. Not only that, if he somehow did get past the Raiders, somebody else might trade up for him. Dallas might trade ahead of the Saints because they probably think the Saints would take him too. Mark Gapsky says Darren Orlovsky thinks Dart will be the number 1 quarterback this draft class. Well, then there you go. Don't draft Jackson Dart. Caribbean Cool. Will Kellen Moore have a lot to say in this draft? Hope he stops us from always trading up. I don't know how much say he will have in the trading up part, but I've been on record saying this. I think Kellen Moore in his first year here will have more say than Dennis Allen ever had. That's my opinion. I just think you don't hire a rookie head coach, have him come in here and set him up to fail. No, I think they did the same with Sean Payton back in the day. I think that's what they're going to do with Kellen Moore. I think he's going to have a big say. That's why I think they're going to draft offense. There's a lot of talk about defensive line. I'm going to show you why the odds makers think it now. It's the same ones who thought it was going to be quarterback 2 days ago. They now think it's going to be defensive line. It started to shift Sunday night into Monday morning. Now it's fully shifted. Philip Alameda, you're just hoping I'm wrong. Carr being cut post June 1. You just hope I'm wrong. If you cut Derek Carr, you have to remember how much money this team needs to eat. And not the money part of it. They don't give a damn if they eat money. They're whatever. However $1 billion they're worth. Doesn't matter. It's not the money itself. It's the cap space. They're not just going to give away up to $90 million of cap space or whatever. I know they redo it. It won't be that much, and I'm exaggerating a little bit. But I'm not exaggerating by a lot. It doesn't work that way. Just because you want something to happen and you're trying to will it into existence, I'm here to, if you want something to happen and you want the host of a show talking about your favorite team to tell you it's going to happen so you can sleep better tonight, then you're watching the wrong show. I ain't telling you that. I tell you reality. Not only do I know you're not going to like it, I'm certain you're not going to like it. I'm not telling you because I think you're not going to like it. If I think you're going to like some of them, but it's a reality, I'll tell you that too. What doesn't make sense? I told you that Carr was going to be signed. I told you this way back when y'all all said they weren't going to re-sign Derek Carr back in January. And I said, doesn't make any sense. They're not going to. Then they re-signed him. Now this shoulder injury rumor. You're using this as an excuse again to say, oh, now he's definitely going. I'm not trying to ruin your day. He's not going anywhere. Why is he not going anywhere? Because the money tells you he's not going anywhere. Common sense. I should have named this show Common Sense with Jim Derry. It wouldn't have worked as well. It wouldn't have the same ring. But common sense. Saint for life. Welcome to Who Dat Nation. Ty Warren, Mason Graham with the 9th overall pick. We have a trade with the Saints for the Buffalo Bills. Saints select Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart. Again, y'all just trying to will stuff into existence. I don't see it. Possible. But then that means the rumor mill's right. How often is the rumor mill right? That would be about, I don't know, 5%, 8% maybe. It's about that. Rex, do I think Mickey answers any questions about Carr and his pre-draft pressers? Not a prayer in hell. Somebody mentions Derek Carr, he might say, oh, I'm 70 years old. I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. No. You could ask him what Derek Carr's birthday is, and he'd probably try to change the subject. Earl's pick says Carr's going to start. Carr's going to start the longer Saints go without saying anything. It just goes to show it's all BS. Why is no one saying anything? That's my question. Who dat daddy? Here you go. If you want to find the biggest hater of them all, it's Who Dat Daddy. You win the prize. But we love you because you're a regular and you're here every day. Carr's not playing for the Saints because he's got a boo-boo. He ain't got a boo-boo. He ain't got no boo-boo. Boo-boo? You're the only boo-boo. You're my boo-boo. Todd Roberts, Milrow at 29 watch. Maybe. I got to say, I wouldn't even hate that at this point. I told y'all I'm starting to open up. We got Eric in the green room, so we're about to get to him. Calvin, what are the odds the Saints are the one team with a first-round grade on Chuck? See, now you just getting me back for all the Derek Carr talk. That kind of made me throw up in my mouth a little bit. Hold on a minute. Yikes. Hakeem, welcome. We always glad you're here. And lastly, before we get to Eric, Apathy says, asking Loomis about Carr and his pre-draft presser is a wasted question. There's no world Mickey is going to answer that. I don't even know how he would answer. He would probably give you some funky, ridiculous answer that you just wouldn't even want to ask him a follow-up. You know me. I don't care. I mean, I would be in the press room and I'll ask all kinds of questions that get people to shake their heads at me. I wouldn't even ask him because it's not even worth the time. Not gonna even give you I thought he would give you, like Sean Payton, you could get him to give you a funny answer. Like if you ask him the right question, he might go off on you for 2 minutes. Mickey doesn't have that kind of personality. He's about as dry as a piece of toast you put on setting 6. All right, here we go.
Setting 6.
Radio icon Eric Asher. Here in Eric Asher.
Oh, Lord. Setting 6. I love it.
Well, you know, when you burn the toast, it's
I know. I know.
I mean, that's who Mickey Loomis is. He just
yes, he is.
He doesn't have I'm not trying to be mean. He just doesn't have much of a personality. Maybe he does, but and he just doesn't show it. Anyway,
hasn't shown it to the public or the media. That's for sure.
Yeah, no. I mean, somebody's asking what time shows start tomorrow. 11 o'clock, just like today. Live mock draft. It's the only. I've never done a mock draft in my life, and I'm not doing it by myself. We're gonna have complete fun with it. In no way, shape, or form is it meant to be serious. So we're just gonna have fun with it, and we're gonna, whatever. All right. UBN says, by the way, after that butt whooping last night, respect the LSU shirt, Eric.
That's why I wore it.
Who that daddy? Eric the legend. Says hello.
Hi there.
Kyle Sherman also appreciated the dry toast. You're stealing it. It's all yours. You can anything I say on the show, you're welcome to. You don't even have to say that I said it. All right, what's going on this Wednesday morning? Are you as ready as I am to get this crap over with?
Oh, please get it over with.
I mean,
I can't break down the draft anymore.
I mean, how do you break down stuff that no one knows? That it's like the headline today. And those who can't see, those who are listening to the podcast after the fact or just listening and can't see my graphics here. First of all, make sure you join the YouTube Dattitude page and you can check it out. But the headline for today is if they say they know, they lie. Because Eric, no one knows a damn thing about what the Saints are going to do tomorrow. I don't even know. I'm not even certain the Saints know what they're going to do.
Right. Well, it's the week of misinformation as well, right?
Exactly.
I mean, no one is telling the truth. Everyone is trying to get as much misinformation out there as possible, from agents to, again, general managers, trying to throw the other teams off. So, anything you hear this week, throw it out the window.
I mean, how could you believe the same? Look, there are lots of people you and I both respect out there. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I respect Schefter as much as anyone. I mean, he comes out and I'd say 80% of the time when he tells you something is true. That's better than a weatherman. That's pretty damn good, even in our business. 80% of the time, if you're out there, as long as you know what he's saying has not been verified and it's coming from a source, that's a pretty good ratio. Okay. It's not good enough to take and put it in ink. Okay. We don't put things in ink in the newspaper unless we're 100% sure. But even guys like Schefter are backing off 2 weeks ago. Got it quoted. He said, coming down, Shedeur Sanders was either going to the Saints at 9 or going to the Steelers at 21. And now it's almost a certainty the Saints have either never liked Shedeur Sanders, we're throwing smoke out there, or they're not interested in him now. That's almost probably not going to happen. Mm-hmm. So how does that stuff even get out there? Are people just making this up, or are we just supposed to take everything with a grain of salt?
Well, in today's day of everybody's got a X handle, everyone has a podcast, everyone has an opportunity to be to again have some type of a media presence, right? Everybody wants to get clicks, so they're going to throw stuff out there. Agents, we know, again, historically have always done this, to help their client to hurt another draftee's draft position. And of course, general managers are throwing out as much smoke as they can because, again, they're hoping that they can hoodwink, again, other general managers into believing they're going into a direction they're not going. So, again, this is what it is. Again, especially this last week, there's nothing you can really believe. You got to go to, again, what you know. And what you know is the Saints need help at every single position on the team. So, again, there's no wrong move at 9, okay, unless you overdraft a player.
I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, and that's why if you look at who they potentially could get at 9, and I've been talking about, I don't think the Saints can draft just best player available because I think they have 3 or 4 desperate needs that they have to get. Mm-hmm. But that being said, I think the players that are going to be the best available when they draft are going to be one of those positions of need. So I think they're going to be in the boat. I have come around. I said a few weeks ago, I wasn't in the Tyler Warren camp, but my mind's been open to him. And I think right now, if you look at it, if you had to guess, that's probably the most likely player. Mm-hmm. And look, he is a guy that could change a lot of things on offense.
Well, and look, what are the Saints looking for? Are they looking to make a splash? And I think they are. I think they want something or a player that can come in that can take the fans' mind off again of a 5-win season. So that would not surprise me. Again, a Tyler Warren there. What are their needs? They got to upgrade that offensive line. And no matter who's going to play quarterback for them, they better upgrade that offensive line. Now, if you're telling me you're going to be able to do that in the 3rd and 4th round, you're going to be able to get a guy that come in and start for you, Okay. If not, you better be looking for the best available lineman at 9 or at least in the second round. The other thing is, again, run stuffing defensive tackle. Again, if you're going to the 3-4, who's going to be your outside linebacker / defensive end? Those are needs for this team, again, that are necessary and needed going into this season. You need immediate impact on those particular positions. Quarterback, that's another one, again, where you need immediate impact. I get the quarterback. Maybe they're in love with Jackson Dart. Maybe they're not. Again, we'll see how that plays out. It's hard to be able to try to figure out what Mickey Loomis is going to do there. We know he loves to trade up. Some people like to see him trade back. I would not have a problem if you don't have the player there or players in your bullpen that are on your board, that are high on your board. Move back a few spots. But again, that's not their MO.
Yeah, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And if you look at the problem with defensive tackle is Mason Graham probably will be gone by the time the Saints draft. And then, you're looking at guys like Walter Nolan, Kenneth Grant, Derek Harmon. Those guys are going to be, those guys aren't rated as the 9 spot. I mean, that's not somebody you take with the 9 spot. So, I mean, that's where you go to. And if the 2 O linemen are gone, and I find this comment interesting. Christian says, greatest rumor by David Carr of all people. Not Derek Carr, David Carr. By the way, brother, keep it positive. Let me just tell you real quick. I'm trying not to get on a tangent, but if you want to if you have trouble sleeping at night, forget melatonin. Put on those Carr Boys podcasts. You'll be sleeping in about 5 minutes. I promise.
I did not waste my time. I can tell you that right now. I did not waste my time.
Oh, I've had just for comedic reasons. Christian says, greatest rumor by David Carr. He says the Saints will draft Tyler Warren. Then they will move back into the first round to draft lineman from Ohio State. And that is, I'm drawing a blank. I'm going to tell you who it is real quick. Josh Simmons. If he's still there although the word is Josh Connerly from Oregon State is who they're looking at. There's all kinds of rumors. But, hey, if you could do that, I mean, actually, that would work out pretty well. If you could actually do that, I think it would be great if you actually traded back in. We saw them trade back in a couple years ago to get Trevor Penning. So, and that's how they got Penning. And Olave and Penning in the same draft.
Right.
Penning didn't necessarily work out. I'm just saying, I would like to see them do that. That would be a great move. They could actually do that.
Well, again, most people believe they're going to trade back into the first round. It's going to be for a quarterback. You want that 5th-year option on a quarterback. Right. You want to be able to have that guy for 5 years, even if that guy doesn't start his first year. And you hope you're not in a position where the guy's got to start the first year, but he may have to. So you want that 5th-year option on your quarterback. The same thing for an offensive lineman. But again, look, the one thing that you've got now is that you've got a plethora of picks. What is it again? The top 129. Right.
You got 5 picks in the top 121? I thought it was 121. 129.
I'm looking over his one. I thought it was 129.
Okay, 121 either way.
So again, you don't want to give those picks away unless it's a surefire player you believe can come in and start for you immediately. Again, they need as many young players as they can get on this roster. They need young, cheap talent. And,
I agree.
And again, that's been their biggest issue. Again, in terms of their draft philosophy, moving up. To try to get one player, giving up multiple picks, and then of course, Loomis throwing the sweetener in, which he's known for, which again drives.
There it is. There's the questioner.
Right.
Ask if Mickey's trade sweetener is going to be in the pink packet or the yellow packet.
He's the sweetener. He is the sweetener. He is the king of sweeteners. So he's throwing the sweetener in.
After he says he's throwing in the sweetener, there you go.
Yeah. He always does.
Sean wants to know of the top 4 quarterback prospects. Who would you put above Rattler?
I would say this. When you look at this year's draft, I would say Jackson Dart and also Rattler are very similar.
Yeah,
very similar.
I think that's a good comparison. I
think they're very similar.
I agree.
Cam Ward, I like his accuracy. I'll be honest with you.
You're struggling, aren't you?
I really am, because I'm not enamored with this class. I've said it all along. This is not the draft where you trade up to get a quarterback.
I agree.
Okay, you want to do that. You go with Rattler this year, and then you go into next year's draft. You're a top 10 pick, maybe a top 5 pick. Hey, you might be first overall. Then you look at that quarterback.
Man, you got a lot of hope for this team in 2025.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just, again, why try to overdraft the quarterback? Again, it just doesn't make sense, especially when you know, everyone knows, with the exception of Mickey Loomis, is they're in rebuilding mode. Okay.
Especially when you think of, and look, I know that I'm going to be joking when I say this, but really it's a possibility. When Doug Nussmeier thinks about the possibility of coaching his son on his own pro team in 2026, don't think it's not a possibility.
Well, it is a possibility. I think there's less of a possibility of Arch Manning coming out of Texas.
Way less.
Okay, I don't think he's coming out. So anybody saying, "Oh, you're tanking for Arch," that's not happening. Okay, but again, the quarterback class next year is so much more superior to what we're seeing this year. So why again reach for a quarterback this year? Why show desperation?
Big Sean, who really, in fact, he might hate Carr more than who that daddy. Skill position at 9, then trade up to get Dart unless Shedeur is available at 9. You can't take. Okay, I'm not being mean at all, and I'm really not. And Big Sean and I have disagreed about a lot of things. You cannot take a quarterback at 9. I don't care who's available. There's just like you said. There's no quarterback in this draft, and I've also said this, and people can go back and know that what I think about the rat. I'm not quiet about it, but I would rather if my only two options are draft a quarterback at number 9 or roll with Spencer Rattler in 2025, and those are my only two options, which I don't think those would be the only two options. But I would rather roll with Spencer Rattler and go get something that you need for the future more than anything. Get a real pick that's worthy of 9 and roll with Spencer Rattler. Again, I don't want him to do that, but I would rather him do that than reach for a quarterback that's not worthy of the 9th pick of the draft.
I concur. To me, if you're going to win and you're looking to have your sustainability in terms of winning, you've got to build up your offensive defensive lines. That has to be the bedrock of your team. We've seen this with Philadelphia. You've seen this with great teams. The Saints did it again when they had Drew Brees. They built up their offensive defensive lines. They've got to be able to stop the run, affect the passer, and protect the passer. To me, again, that is should be their priority. Again, going into this draft, and hopefully it will be. Again, I have no issue with, at the end of the day, they walk away from this draft with no quarterback or quarterback in the middle to late rounds. I would not overdraft a quarterback. I would go with Rattler for one season rather than do that.
I don't think it's going to come to that, but that's what I would rather see.
Right.
And certainly is a possibility. Again, I don't think it's going to do. Hakeem says, don't reach in a quarterback this year. Russell wants to know, he's asking both of us, I guess, every year there seems to be a player who drops out of the top 10 for whatever reason. Is there a player who I feel or you may feel dramatically drop, not named Shedeur Sanders? I think the only player that's going to drop far is Shedeur Sanders. I've said this with Doug Mouton last Friday. Mm-hmm. I predict Shedeur Sanders does not get drafted on day 1, on night 1, and he gets shown all over ESPN all night long, and they keep wondering when he's going to get drafted, and he doesn't get drafted. That's my opinion. Or if he does, it's going to be at the very bottom of the first round when somebody else trades back in. As far as anyone else, I'm not sure. I think that if Tyler Warren makes it to the Saints at 9 and they don't take him, he could drop down to 12 or 14, but I don't think there's anyone other than Shedeur Sanders going to drop too far.
I would agree. I don't think there's going to be a situation where you see Tyler Warren dropping into the 20s. Okay. Yeah. I just don't. Someone, again, too good of a player to allow that guy to be able to fall. And I would agree with you right now because, look, there's a lot of hype around Shedeur Sanders, right? So, again, obviously people are going to be watching to see where he goes. And look, I don't think he gets past Pittsburgh at 21. I'll be honest with you. I do think, again, that he goes in the first round. And if he goes in the first round, he's going to go to Pittsburgh at 21.
The Athletic this morning, their mock draft, and actually I was talking with Gabe, I think, before we went on the air because he hadn't been on yet. But we're talking about how I found it interesting. I found their mocks to be the most realistic, at least the most believable. Now, again, I'll say this. I've said this every show for like 3 weeks now, but there have been approximately 3,247,292 mock drafts over the course of the last 5 years. And the amount of them being right are 0. Right. 0.0 have been right. So the most realistic ones have been the Athletic. They have Shedeur Sanders going at 21, but to the Giants, who make a trade with the Steelers. That would be an interesting move.
It would be, because everything we've heard, again, is that the Steelers really like Sanders. Now, again,
but we hear lots of things. Yeah,
is that a smoke screen? Okay, or is that real?
Well, everybody thinks Chad Gage thinks he's going to be gone Pittsburgh. Earl's Pick said Steelers are grabbing him. Who died? Daddy.
Really do.
Big Sean says Shedeur is off the board day one.
Yes.
Look, that's just you got to make a bold prediction, right? So that is my bold prediction for
you think
draft
he falls
night.
out of the first round?
I think he's not going to get drafted in the first round, or if he does, it's going to be. I think it's going to be like in the high 20s, low like 28, 29. Somebody traded back in. Somewhere around there. I bet he may put it this way. I will say he gets past 21. How about that?
I'll put it this. I don't think he's I believe that he goes to Pittsburgh at 21, or a team trades back into the first round to get him. Okay, late first round. I don't think he goes in the top 10. I don't think he goes in the top 15. But I think when you get into the late teens and the 20s, there's a possibility he goes there.
All right, Gabe says Pittsburgh doesn't take him. The Giants trade back in for him.
Yeah,
I think
again,
that's a possibility.
And that's again, if the Saints are truly worried about Jackson Dart, that's one of the teams they have to worry about. Cleveland and the Giants in the second round, which is one of the reasons why, again, we keep hearing they're going to try to move back into the first round to be able to pick Jackson Dart. You know, true or not. Look, where does it really come down to? It comes down to what Kellen Moore likes. If Kellen Moore's looked at these quarterbacks and he's fallen in love with one, whether it's Sanders, whether it's Dart, whoever it's going to be, that's the direction they're going to go.
Yeah. UBN says if he gets past 21, I want to count on Dion and forget about Shedeur Sanders. That would be pretty funny in itself. David Bordelon says no quarterback number 9. No way, no how. Best pick available, and you rarely go wrong. Who dat? All right. I want to talk about the odds. And you know I love to talk about the odds because the odds tell a story. But before that, I've said this for probably a week or so now. There is one quarterback in this draft that I've changed my mind at. Now I don't want any quarterback at 9. There's no quarterback to me worth number 9. But at number 40, if he's still there, there is a quarterback that intrigues me way more than I've kind of like fallen for this guy a little bit. I'm saying I think it would be super interesting if the Saints went out and drafted a Jalen Milroe at 40. And the reason is this, Eric. If he didn't work out as your quarterback, okay, you could throw him in there, try him. If Carr plays like I think he's going to play, you sit him, you let him learn, you find ways to get him in. And then in 2026, if he's ready, whatever, you try him. And if he doesn't work out, to me, there are so many things you can do with Jalen Milroe to make him work for your football team. I don't want to call him Taysom Hill, but something like that where he can do all sorts of different things for you.
I'm not enamored with him as a quarterback. I think he's an incredible athlete. I just think, again, to be a consistent player in the NFL at the quarterback position, you've got to have accuracy. And I just think his arm is too erratic. Now, is that mechanics? Can you put him with a coach or with a program that can help him down the line to be able to hone in on his mechanics and help him to be a more accurate quarterback? That is yet to be told. But I agree with you about the athleticism. But I don't know if I'm going for Milroe at 40.
Yeah, we'll see. But again, I'm not saying they even should do that because they might get to 40 and they're like, oh man, this guy's available.
He's got a live arm. Okay. I mean, again, you cannot discount. Again, he has got a live arm. It's just an inaccurate arm.
You know, one thing Mike Detillier was talking about on Monday's show, and I never really thought of this aspect, but what Kellen Moore and company, what they were able to do and just kind of change the, you look at who they've been able to help throughout their career. I think he could help that completion percentage. I'm not saying he's going to go to 70% or anything like that, but I think you could get him to 64, 66%. And I just think that might be good enough. You look at Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts went from when he was playing for Alabama, his completion percentage was, we looked it up the other day, it was like 60, 61. And then when he went to Oklahoma, he became a different quarterback and he went to 68, 69 and became that NFL quarterback. And I just think that Jalen Milroe to me has that kind of potential that he could be. I'm not saying he will be that, but again, if you're taking someone at 40 in the second round, a potential quarterback of the future, and I think that Milroe could be that. I'm not saying he is, but again, if you got someone who, if he doesn't work out as quarterback, you can use him somewhere else. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, and then it comes down to the player as well, right? Does the player want to play?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I mean, maybe Milrose says I'm a quarterback. I see myself as a quarterback, and I'm not interested in being the next Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
So there's that part. But look, his athleticism also is off the
He's
chart.
definitely better than Spencer Rattler,
You know,
in my opinion. Yeah, you like Spencer Rattler.
I really don't. I'll be honest with you. There's some. He has some talent, okay, but he is who he is. At this point, we know who Spencer Rattler is.
That's true. I agree. Okay,
and I'm going back again through his collegiate career. Now, look, he'll be a better player this year if he gets an opportunity to play. He's got almost a half an NFL season under his belt. He'll be better just from the experience. But and I think he can be a solid backup quarterback in the NFL. But I think if you got to go with him as your starter.
And I'm completely fine with Spencer Rattler being a backup quarterback. I mean, as long as you could definitely have worse backup quarterback than Spencer Rattler. That's a whole different story. But we're not talking about backup quarterbacks. We're talking about who's going to be the quarterback. All right, I want to get into this portion of it because we got about another 10, 12 minutes with you here, and this is definitely a segment that I got to get
to that Mickey Loomis press conference at noon.
Oh, you got to get. Oh, well, then we only got 8 minutes left. We really got to go then. I didn't realize it was at noon. God forbid everybody's going to want to see that.
We have to run back to that.
All right. Here we go then. Okay. So I will make this our last topic, and then we'll have plenty of time for me to talk with the audience about Saints draft. Okay. So
this is Mickey Loomis' press conference. A snooze fest.
Turn that toast setting up, baby. All right. The odds. You know how I love to talk about the odds, and I just thought it was funny that the odds makers were kind of following the experts' BS and how quarterback was even money a week ago. Not even a week ago. Monday morning. In fact, let me show the odds. These were the odds as of Monday on where the Saints were going to pick. As of Monday morning, quarterback was minus 105, which basically means 50-50. If you bet $105 and the Saints draft the quarterback, you get 100. Tells you that's 50-50. The defensive line had shifted from Friday plus 400 to plus 280 on Monday, which means, maybe it's going to be a defensive lineman because that's when the talk started. That's when the Schefter talk started. Maybe they don't want Sanders anymore. And it started to, maybe they're talking defensive line. Maybe they're talking Tyler Warren. Everything started to shift. So it just goes to show you. Now, here's the dramatic shift from Monday to today, this morning. What a difference. Quarterback is now plus 400, which means it's 4-1. It went from even money to 4-1 that the Saints draft the quarterback with their first pick. Defensive lineman now is just a little bit about even money. It's a little bit less than even money. It's plus 115. O-lineman now all the way to plus 250 from plus 700, plus 750. Quarterback plus 400. Tight end still plus 750. I think that's because they don't think Tyler Warren will be there. But just these odd shifts tell you that even the odds makers don't really know what's going to happen tomorrow night.
Yeah, but at the same time, they went with chalk, right? What do the Saints do? They draft linemen in the first round. I mean, that's their MO. So again, obviously, the odds are shifting that way. What is it? What is the flavor of the day? It's Williams, the defensive end out of Georgia. That's the new flavor of the day now. That's who the Saints are in love with. So we'll see. Again, to me, I go back to what I've said since the end of last season, and again, even through last season. You've got to build up your offensive line. You've got to stop the run. And if you can't do that, they're going to be right back where they are this year, next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're the end.
I don't disagree. But it just goes to show you how the odds are showing that nobody knows. Look, if you're going to actually go and bet, I think the value on this board is tight end at plus 750 because of the Saints draft Tyler Warren. I think that's a legitimate possibility. Am I saying it's 50-50? No, I think if he's still there, I think it's 50-50. Is he going to be still there? That's 50-50. So you're talking about 25% chance. So that's better than plus 750. So if we're just looking for value and odds, I think it's going to be tight end. But also, these odds at plus 250 on offensive linemen mean maybe the odds makers think that one of those top two, a Membu who you see up there at the top, or a Will Campbell is going to be there. And Eric, if Will Campbell or Amon Membu are still there at 9, I think you got to go with one of those guys.
I think you have to. Again, based on No matter who's going to be your quarterback this year, you've got to build up that offensive line, because if you truly are trying are going to get your quarterback of the future, whether that's this year or next year, at some point you're going to have the ability to be able to protect that quarterback.
I agree, and I mean I think you and I have been talking about this for weeks. I think we both agree that if that's available, if Will Campbell or Armand Membu are available, I think we both think that's the way they need to go.
Right. And it's not a sexy pick, but it's a needed and necessary pick.
All right. I'm going to force you to make a prediction here. Okay. Right. What is your prediction for tomorrow night? If the Saints are up at 9, we have no idea what's going 1 through 8. You have to make a prediction here, not knowing anything. You're flying blind. Stevie Wonder, Eric Asher, what is your prediction for the New Orleans Saints at pick number 9 tomorrow night?
Will Campbell.
You think he makes it to 9?
I think he makes it to 9, yes. I think if you look at what's been, again, it could be all smoke now, right? Again, that New England wanted him, at 4? Again, New England's kind of now off of him. That means, again, maybe the next team that would be on him would either be the Saints or possibly Chicago at 10. Right. So again, I think it's an offensive lineman, and I think that it'll probably be Will Campbell if he's there.
I think if Will Campbell is available, I don't see how you pass on him.
Right.
I just don't see how you pass. I don't think he's going to be available, but I think if he is available, I mean,
and if not Membu, okay. Again, if he's there, whoever that offensive lineman is, I think that's the pick.
Yeah. Gabe says 0.0% chance. I definitely don't think it's 0.0. Yeah. I mean, I think if New England doesn't take him, I think the Jets are a strong possibility, but they might be more interested in Membu if Membu were to fall there. Anyway, we're going to talk about a little bit about the Athletics mock draft, but tell everybody about what's going on with you, Eric, and I appreciate that you have me on every Monday afternoon, and I love when I get a chance.
Of the week. Are you kidding me?
I love to have a chance to come on a TV show whenever you ask me. I can't always do it, but I love when I can do it. And you guys got a beautiful new studio there right off the foot of the causeway. But tell everybody what's going on with you, Eric.
All right, 106.7 The Ticket, 4 to 6 weekdays. You can listen live, ericasher.com. 106.7 has their own app. You can listen on the app as well. Tune in, iHeart. And then, of course, Inside New Orleans Sports, Thursday night, 6 o'clock on WLA-TV. Also, again, on WLA-TV 2 at 10 o'clock on Thursday. We're also on Pelican Sports Television on Friday nights at 9 and back on WLA-TV at 10 o'clock on Friday nights as well. It's at ericasher.com, where you can check out all the previous episodes. Also, WLA-TV has a YouTube channel in which you can check out the previous episodes there as well. And of course, again, our podcast is on all podcasting platforms for the radio show. At Eric_Asher on X is how you can follow me on social media.
Where are you going to be tomorrow night?
That would be tomorrow night. Tomorrow we are having a draft fest over at Game On. So I'll be at Game On until about 7 o'clock. And then I'm coming back to my humble abode to watch the draft.
Okay. Well, if you get a chance, you can check the live show out on here and watch me go absolutely ballistic if they make some dumbass pick at number 9.
I'll be checking in.
It'll be worth watching live. So, Eric Asher, always a pleasure. I will talk to you on Monday, my friend.
All right, Jim. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend. To your audience, hey, thanks for having me today.
You too, absolutely.
All right.
Eric Asher, everybody. Check him out on the Ticket, 106.7 every afternoon, 4 to 6. And again, yours truly on Mondays at 4:35. Just about every Monday. There's got to be a reason if I'm not on. Last Monday, I was actually hosting the show. So there you go. All right, some comments that I want to get to. We're going to talk to Gabe in a little bit. Let's see. Some of them I passed on because I just didn't want to show them. That's we have become so popular, I don't have to show every comment anymore. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but some of these comments are just y'all out there. And look, we get the hate. If you don't like Derek Carr, I pretty much know by now. Hakeem, Milroe is what the NFL has transitioned to. He can become a better passer with work, but a poor man's Lamar Jackson beats everyone on our roster at quarterback right now. Doesn't beat Derek Carr. God, I can't believe he said that. He really said that live. It's true. Now, If Derek Carr's not here, he beats whatever's left over. Absolutely, 100%, no question in my mind. Big Sean, you can try to will him out of here, but I want y'all, if you know that I have to be here. So the po' boy, I told you, it's already sitting in the freezer. It's freezer burn. It's in there, sitting. I've been telling you. You don't want to hear it. I was right last time when I said they would re-sign him. I'm going to be right again when I tell you on September 7th, the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints is going to be Derek Carr. Will you come back on September 8th when we have our Mono E Monday? Or we'll know before then. You can be pissed all you want. Earl's Picks talking about Milroe. You can fix accuracy. You can fix it to an extent. I mean, look, you got the right coaching staff to fix accuracy, in my opinion. If you can't have Sean Payton, who I think could fix it. I mean, look what Sean Payton did with Jameis. Jameis came off of that, it wasn't far removed from the 30 interception season. He had LASIK surgery or whatever. But until he got hurt, I believe it was like 14 touchdowns and 4 interceptions or whatever it was. Now, again, it's a smaller sample size, but that was proof that Sean Payton had fixed some of the things that were wrong with Winston. He kind of went back to being what Jameis was after he didn't have Sean Payton anymore. But that's another reason why I'm intrigued with Milroe. I really think that Kellen Moore might be able to fix some of that stuff. David says Milroe's leadership is top tier. It's another thing they need. They need a quarterback leadership. I'm not saying any of the other quarterbacks don't have it. And I'm going to tell you, look, I think Spencer Rattler, in the grand scheme of things, if you give him a little bit more time, I think the way he matured from what I saw in college towards the end of last season, as far as leadership skills go. Now, he's got some working to do as far as where he's going with the ball, and you can't just throw it to your first read and all that stuff. But I like what I saw leadership-wise. I think that is absolutely something you have to have in a quarterback. Apathy, you can't teach speed or athleticism. That's a great point. I mean, if you're talking about accuracy and you can at least fix somewhat accuracy, because you can fix accuracy somewhat. You can't fix speed or athleticism because you either have it or you don't. Gabe is saying, and he's going to come on in a minute, the Saints plan to take quarterback 40. They should trade back into the first to get one at 32. Again, we'll talk about that in a minute. I don't want the Saints trading at all. If they trade anything, it's down. Don't trade anything down. Who that daddy says he doesn't think we've seen the best of Rattler. Well, I mean, I agree with that because I don't think it could be any worse. Just because we haven't seen the best of him, I don't know that his best is. I think we've seen enough to see that the best isn't good enough to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. Again, I'm not 100% on that. Big Sean, that means the starter will be whoever we draft. What if they don't draft anybody? Y'all are assuming they're going to draft a quarterback. I'm not. I really don't think I think they're going to draft a quarterback, but I think it's going to be later. I think it's going to be like 3rd round or something. Like, I don't want this guy either, but I'm just saying someone like a Will Howard or something like that. That's my prediction. I think they're going to draft one later. David says Rattler's issue is between his ears. Maybe. It's a little shaky. Calvin says, was there ever any news that the Saints wanted Sanders outside of people making mocks? Well, that's where all the news comes from. But yes, there's been plenty of news. Now, not this week. This week is that y'all have some short-ass memories. Because a couple of weeks ago, that's all we heard. Saints are talking to Shedeur Sanders. They're doing this, they're doing that. Whatever. Let's see what else we got here before we get to Gabe. Calvin says Tyler Warren at 9, Tyler Booker at 40 or earlier after trading up. I don't think Tyler Booker's still going to be there at 40, but that would be a great pick if he is. Charles Mangus likes the pick of Will Campbell if possible. Who that daddy says great pick if there. Sean says Saints should trade back, build draft capital, and trade up in the back end of the second round. Look, I've been on record. I think they should trade down. They're not going to. They're just not going to. UBN. So we're not talking Zurich at all. We just did. That's our Zurich talk for the day. There it is. The Zurich Classic is here in New Orleans this weekend. We just talked about it. You're the only one who cares, UBN. I'm sorry. Saint for life. Milrose, 2 years development. Stop. 2 to 3 years of development. Stop it, people. Okay. So he's 2 to 3 years of development. In the meantime, while he's developing, there's still other things he can do here. If they drafted a Jalen Milroe, he wouldn't just sit the bench if he wasn't the starting quarterback. They would find ways to get him in the game. Promise you. David, Will Campbell will be a very good guard. What planet are you living on? He ain't playing guard. He's not being drafted before. I mean, Gabe's right. He's probably going to be gone before 9. And if the Patriots take him at 4, they certainly aren't drafting Will Campbell to be a guard. That is a 0.0. Who that daddy says he used to get this Saints debate at the barbershop. You bald headed now, so I'm a new barber. Call me the barber, baby. I've been called way worse. On this show, I've been called way worse. Tony Godot says we need as many picks as possible. That's true. Sean says if you draft Milroe, you need a running back to complement him and AK. One other thing too, and a lot of our regulars are kind of repeating themselves here, so we're gonna go to Gabe in just a minute. 2 things I want to talk about real quick before we get to Gabe. Number one, I have seen so many quote unquote mock drafts. If you see a mock draft that has the Saints picking 3 skill players with their first 3 picks, you can reply with the laughing emoji and move on. The Saints are not drafting 3 skill players with their first 3 draft picks. That's somebody who's just wished. That's the same people who are writing all this crap about Derek Carr, blah, blah, blah. He's gone. He's good as on. You're trying to wish it into existence, and I understand why. It's the same thing if you're making your own mock draft or somebody, you're retweeting a mock draft in which the Saints are taking 3 skill position players with their first 3 picks. It ain't happening. You're trying to will it into existence because it's fun. Fun ain't going to help this team win, okay? It ain't going to help this team win. The second thing I want to talk about real quick before I get to Gabe is I want to go back to the odds. Odds that the Saints draft. I don't really look. It's not going to surprise me at all if they draft a defensive lineman. But I think it's O lineman or tight end. I think that's where I would put them in order. I would put O lineman. I would put tight end second. I would put defensive lineman third. And I don't think any of the other ones matter. I don't think the only possibility, and I don't think it's a possibility. I mean, that's actually not that bad of a number, plus 2,000 at running back. I think 20 to 1. Is it a 20 to 1 chance that Genty falls to 9? I don't know. Iffy. I don't think that he falls, but I'm not saying 0.0 either. There are going to be weird things that happen tomorrow night. You know why? You know why weird things are going to happen tomorrow? Is because there haven't been any moves yet. When's the last time we got to this part of we got to draft eve and there haven't been any trades? 1 through 32 are the same 1 through 32 that they were on February the 10th. That doesn't happen. So tomorrow night is going to be just lunatic fringe, to use my musical reference for the day. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be nuts. Everybody's now that's all Friday's going to be nuts. Oh no, Friday might be nuts too, but it's not. I'm telling you, tomorrow is going to be nuts. It's because we haven't seen the weirdness. There has been no weirdness yet. When will the weirdness start? Will it start tomorrow morning? Will it start tomorrow afternoon? Or will it start after Roger Goodell goes to the podium and says, Tennessee Titans, you are now on the clock? Which one of those 3 will it be? Because there is going to be madness. I'm telling you, it's going to happen, which is why we can sit here and the title says it all. If they say they know, they lie. No one knows. I don't know. Gabe don't know. Schefter don't know. Rossini don't know. Underhill don't know. Even Jeff Duncan don't know. Love them all. They don't know. You don't know. That's what's going to make it fun. Last year, we pretty much knew it was going to be an offensive lineman. I think we would have all been shocked if it wasn't an offensive lineman, right? There isn't, other than like, I don't know, linebacker, I'd be pretty surprised. Wide receiver, they drafted Shedeur McMillan, I'd be pretty surprised. I got to say, there probably isn't another, if they drafted a running back other than Ashton Genty, I'd be surprised. Other than that, if they drafted a safety, I'd be shocked. Other than that, I don't know. And if they say they know, they lie. Lance Dobard. Who dat, baby? All right, let's see what Gabe thinks. First of all, what do you think of these odds? I mean, is there any value on this board?
I told you yesterday there was value on offensive linemen at plus 400.
Yeah, now there's no.
It's gone down now.
Yeah, you can't bet that at 250.
Yeah.
I don't think. I agree that at 400 it was worthy, but then you're assuming that okay, you say 0.0 Will Campbell falls to 9. I don't think it's 0.0. I don't think it's high, but I don't think. But then so Membo, I think both of them are probably like if you gave me odds and told me what do I think the percentages that both will be gone by the time the Saints pick, I think it's 75% that they're both gone. Okay, so that being said, if that's true, I think the only way the Saints get an offensive lineman is that they trade down, and I just don't know that they're going to do that.
Yeah, potentially. Membo could still be there. I don't think Campbell is. Actually, I know Campbell is not going to be there. I'm willing to stick my neck out and say that he is not going to be there at 9.
Okay, well, I don't think he's going to be there either, but I'm certainly not going to say 0.0. Look, if y'all stop with the so and so, yeah, let's stop trashing people all the time. Leave the trash.
So I wanted to, before we get into anything else, I did have an answer for Russell's question earlier. Mm-hmm. Said every year there seems to be a player who drops out of the top 10. I think this year that player could be Mason Graham.
Okay.
And my reasoning for that is a lot of the smoke around the Jaguars, who a lot of people had picking him at 5, is that they're going to go offense, be it Genty or Shedeur McMillan. And if Mason Graham doesn't go there, I could see him falling into the early teens. And then I also wanted to. I don't think that's a position that I don't know that that's a position. I don't know that interior, maybe, but the Saints just spent money on interior defensive linemen, and they're not even really sure what they're doing with Brisset, who's got to be linebacker of some sort. I don't think they're going to draft. I mean, it'd be tough if he fell to them. They'd have a decision to make, but I just don't think that's not someone that would maybe. But again, I don't know that that's someone they would take. And to respond to Lance real quick, Genty's not going to be there either.
I don't think
that both of those players are going to go before the Saints pick.
No, I think if you tell me 100% chance either Will Campbell or Genty is available at 9, I would say it's Will Campbell. I don't think the Raiders are passing on Genty any way, shape, or form. And if somehow they were, I think that someone would trade up with the Jets or something. The Jets, somebody's going to want Genty. I think
the only team that would trade up with the Jets would be the Bears.
Yeah, no, I agree.
If they got word that the Saints wanted Genty.
Oh, and if the Saints want Genty, I would be shocked.
And then I wanted to talk about my comment about the quarterback at 40 versus 32. If you take a quarterback in the first round, or if you take any player in the first round, you get an extra year in their contract.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think if the Saints.
No, I understand why. Yeah.
Yeah, and so not only that, as Eric talked about earlier, they are kind of in cahoots with the Giants and with the Browns, and the fact that all of them want quarterbacks, and they're all seemingly willing to wait until the second round. So I would say by trading up, you not only get an extra year, but you also jump those teams.
But then you would have to trade with the Eagles, and any trade with the Eagles is like you might as well shoot yourself in the face. I don't see the Chiefs trading, so it would have to be a 30 with the Bills. I don't know.
I see the Chiefs would 100% trade that pick.
Although the mock draft that I've been talking about has the Saints trading up to 29 with the Commanders to get Jackson Dart. And then they would be trading, trade away number 40, 93, and 184. It seems like a lot.
It costs a lot to trade into the
I
first
just
round.
don't want to. I just don't think they do that. Look, they do it, whatever. But I don't believe they're going to do it. And if that's just too high of a price to pay, in my opinion.
It might be, but I mean, like you guys said, if Kellen Moore has his guy, if he's got his guy in mind, trading into the first round not only gets you an extra year of him, but you don't have to worry about other teams potentially snatching him up.
All right,
you get your guy.
Before we get to man versus machine and the rest of our Saints talk here this morning, and I got a very special last word today. For those of you my age, you don't have to be my age. You could be like 10, 15 years younger than me, or you could be a sports junkie like Gabe Henderson. You know who Mike Patrick is. And so my last word today is on Mike Patrick. You won't want to miss that. I actually have a very special clip to run with Mike Patrick coming up in the last word. All right. Before we get to all that, Gabe, you were talking about some different things when we were about to go on the air. Just what is your number one? And I saw you were you had somebody in mind. Who falls out of the top 10 that's in there right now, you think?
Mason Graham.
So that's your number one, Mason.
Yeah,
Mason.
That's my guy. I think
you say early teens. You think that's how far?
I don't think he would slide past 13.
Yeah,
I think one of the 11, 12, 13 would take him. But I think if the Jaguars don't pick him, I think he slides.
All right, what is your other okay, my surprise is I think that Shedeur Sanders falls past 21. That is my surprise of the night, and his face is all over ESPN and the NFL Network all night long. Other than Mason Graham, what is your surprise of the night? Well, it could be someone going way higher than they should be, someone making a big trade. Do you have some kind of shocking moment for tomorrow night?
I think Shedeur McMillan either goes at 5 to the Jaguars or he falls out of the first round. 5
or out of the first? Now, that's a hell of a prediction.
Yeah.
That's better than your it didn't happen, but that's bigger than your Nick Castellanos.
That was pure comedy and but in entertainment. I think he could slide. Because I've seen guys like Todd McShay, who analyze players for a living, say that he's barely a top 50 prospect.
I'm going to say this, okay? If he's available at 40, then the Saints are insane if they don't take him at 40. Because I think he's absolutely an NFL receiver for a long time to come. I just can't draft him at 9, in my opinion. I just think he had too many other needs. But he is going to be a top-notch NFL receiver for a long time, in my opinion. We'll see. Before we get to man versus machine and more Saints, we told you earlier we will let you know more about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what your family-run or privately held business might be worth and whether it's time to sell. How do they do it? Well, we're glad you asked. After their complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, native New Orleanians Nick Braden, Ron Hemelt, and the folks at Evangeline will begin an extensive auction process from established private equity funds from around the world. And they'll maximize the return for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on their platform. Very few companies like them in this area, none with their dedication and success. They are fully licensed. They are ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important. It ain't no mock draft. It ain't Shedeur Sanders. It ain't Jackson Dart. What is important, Gabe Henderson?
The rest of your life.
You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. Lance says Graham's a good pick, but not at number 9. Good pick. What does that mean?
Which not BPA best
BPA.
Player available.
Oh, okay, available. I'm old. You gotta hit me. You gotta tell me. I'm not targeting him. Genty, Campbell, Walker, all targets. Settle for Warren or Graham. If none of them trade down, please. I would love to see him trade down, Lance. I just don't think they're gonna do it. Chris says we don't need Sanders, boys. People either love Sanders or hate him. That's kind of like a lot like the rat.
The thing that cracks me up around draft time is people become NFL talent evaluators,
especially of the general manager.
And I know Mel Kiper being on TV really kind of gives people a big ego, but the reality of it is none of us are NFL talent evaluators. You can sit here and say that Shedeur McMillan will have a long, successful career. He could be out of the league in 2 years. You just never know.
Makes me want to drink Vitalis.
There are very few things that are sure.
All right, man.
Before we get to man versus machine.
Oh shit, I forgot to go ahead because I forgot to ask. Go ahead. You tell me.
Did you see what?
And you talk for a second while I'm muting myself.
Okay. Did you see what Ashton Genty? You can just nod your head. Did you see what Ashton Genty did in his article that he wrote to the Players Tribune? Oh, it was awesome. Let me find the exact quote. But he basically ended his article by saying, where it is. So he said, "I've taken the long way. I'm done with that way. If you pick me, it's simple. I'm coming to your franchise to do what Saquon and the Eagles just did. I'm coming to win big soon. It's tackle football. You know what I'm saying? I would draft the guy they can't tackle." And I read that and I was like, holy shit. I want every one of my teams to trade up and get him if I'm a fan. I mean, I don't understand how anyone could look at this guy and say they don't want him on their team. So while I understand he probably won't be there at 9, I do understand Saints fans wanting to pick him. You're still muted.
I was actually trying to read and listen at the same time. I think I did a pretty good job. But Lance says he only wants defensive tackles from SEC. Michigan didn't go against any highly talented offensive line.
Yes, they did.
Apathy says I'm running the podium if Graham is still there at 9. David says Genty will be average in the NFL. Hot take. That is definitely a hot take because I definitely don't agree with you.
I don't agree with that either. But you know what? Here's the thing. There is an equal chance of
That's absolutely
David being
right.
right and us being right.
All right.
I
forgot to go get Grok because I was so busy this morning, but I have it now. It's time for Man versus the Machine. We will come back to the Saints, by the way. Man won. No, man lost. Man lost on Monday. Machine won. Machine is on fire. I think Machine has won 4 in a row. Machine's 5-2.
I wouldn't say the Machine's on fire.
Fire.
For something that was like minus 600.
I'm just saying, you said it, and you gave the Machine an opening. Machine took it. AI has been doing pretty well this week. Today, man's pick. Man is Gabe Henderson today. Wendell Carter of the Orlando Magic under 8.5 rebounds at minus 120. Give us your reasoning, Gabe Henderson.
Well, first I want to preface it with this. Could I go on a Machine-like run and just say like Oklahoma City?
You're the one that picked it, pal. You're the one that picked it.
I'm just asking.
No, you picked. You make the pick. It's got to be 1-2. You can only. The only thing that you have a problem with is you have to be minus 120 is your limit. If it's over minus 120, I'm gonna make you pick something else.
I didn't know that.
You can't just go pick something that's like minus 2,000 so you can make your record look better.
That's what I was asking.
No,
because that's what the Machine.
You get to pick. Well, the Machine's just picking against or with you, whatever you pick. Yeah. So,
right. I like David's pick as well. He says Avalanche over Stars. The Stars played well in game 1, but Avalanche are just a much more talented.
Explain team. Wendell Carter.
So Wendell Carter grabbed 13 boards in game 1. That was his best performance in over a month. Mm-hmm. I think this line is a little inflated as a result. So we're going to fade him here. He's pulled down 7 or fewer rebounds in 7 of his last 8. And he only went over 7, which they're giving us a line of 8.5. I'm using 7 as more of a benchmark because that's around where it should be. He only grabbed 7 or more rebounds once in 3 regular season games against the Celtics. So I'm going to take under 8.5.
What do you think Grok is going to say?
I think they're going to agree with me.
Grok says, and I'm just going to read one sentence because this is way too long and I'm not going to read all this crap. But Grok says in its prediction, I'd lean slightly toward Wendell Carter Jr. going under 8.5 rebounds. His season average of 7.2 rebounds combined with the betting trend suggests he frequently falls below 8.5 in recent games supports this. Blah, 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 blah. The good news for you is Machine is hot, and maybe y'all can both get a win out of this one. We'll see. You excited?
Am I excited to watch this pick play out as the Magic get
Stomped?
absolutely destroyed by the Celtics? I mean, can we just for a second? These 1-8 series in the playoffs are just. I know this isn't a 1-8, and the 1-8
It's
in
the
the East is
NBA.
actually more exciting than this. But the 1-8, especially the Thunder Grizzlies, I don't need to see the Grizzlies take the floor.
Can we just say too many GD teams make the damn playoffs in the NBA? How about we go with 6 and that's the end of it on each conference? I mean, 12 total.
Well, no, because then you wouldn't get teams like the Heat from a few years ago who made great runs from the
like
play-in.
once every 5 years. It's just
I agree, but I mean,
ruined it.
All I want to say is I just don't want to see. I don't think it matters, David. I think the Celtics are still going to wipe the floor with the Magic. The Magic can't keep up offensively. But yeah, I don't need to see the Grizzlies take the floor 2 more times.
I don't either.
By 70
They don't even care. That's what happens when you fire your coach with like 2-3 weeks left in the season. You a bunch of morons.
That was crazy.
You deserve what you get.
Look,
we're going to spend all day together tomorrow, so I will see you tomorrow. Mock draft in the morning, draft show live. You will be with us tomorrow evening as well on the draft show. I will see you tomorrow. Get your rest, my friend.
Sounds good.
Be a long day.
Yep.
All right, Gabe Henderson, everybody. We're going to wrap up the show with some Saints talk. Some final comments. If you want to get your comment in on the Saints, now is it. Because once I get to the last word, I show no more comments. Final words. Whether you can tell me what you want the Saints to take. Because tomorrow, I can tell you from mock draft, we will take some comments, but it won't be like today. Tomorrow's not going to be a regular show. I'm not going to do a last word. We're not going to have man versus machine. I'm going to have a very short monologue. Tomorrow will basically be just mock draft. I'm going to say hello. I might show a couple comments. I'm going to tell you what my friends at Evangeline are doing, and then we're moving on. So that's what tomorrow is going to be. So get your comments in. David Nola says, take the Avalanche over the Stars. Easy money tonight. Okay. I don't know what the number's on. You know what, David? I might go throw a few bucks on there just because you told me to. Charles Mangan says, as long as Minnesota over the Lakers or Lakers don't win championships. Okay. David, in his man versus machine moment, explains why he's picking the Avalanche over the Stars. Gabe Landeskog will be playing in his first game in 3 years tonight, and he's the Avalanche team captain for the last 10 years. The emotion will overwhelm the Stars. Okay. Charles says, great show again. Thank you. Chad says, good news. Loomis is not smacking gum. That's why we lost people. They went over to watch Loomis. All right. My prediction. Oh, I'm going to save my prediction tomorrow because I'm doing the Saints mock draft. I will say this. I've told you this, and my prediction for craziness is that Shedeur falls past 21 and that the Saints do not take a quarterback in the first 2 rounds. That's my predictions. Take it with a grain of salt. Gabe Henderson, breaking news. Oh, man. This is break. You'll be glad you were here. You'll remember where you were when I tell you the following breaking news. Jimmer Fredette is retiring. Yeah. Tomorrow's show, it is at 11 a.m. Live tomorrow at 11 a.m. First pick will be about 11:08. David says Matthew Golden will be the first wide receiver taken. And the last comment of the morning before I get to the last word is David Bordelon. He says Michael Williams is the pick. I could see that. We had him on the front page today. In fact, in case you missed it, you'll see it in a second, but there he is. Big number 13, Michael Williams. Will he be the pick? Will he not be the pick? I don't know. Chad Gage is the last comment. He wants Tyler Warren. All right. I'll give you my pick tomorrow in the mock. live 11 a.m. We will go in order 1 through 32. Gabe gets the first pick. Zach gets the second pick. I get the third pick, and I'm not doing it because I'm being polite and letting my guests go 1 and 2. I did it because I cheated, and I want the Saints at number 9. You'll have fun with us tomorrow. Come back and join the mock. All right, the last word for today. And as you know, this is a fairly new segment. I started it a couple weeks ago. And what we do here in the last word is when I live in the house that I live in, full of females, my wife does not like that I've been telling people this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm in the doghouse all the time. Anyway, the only way I can get the last word is here on my show. So I'm going to do it. The last word today is kind of a special one for me. As many of you know, my side gig as a play-by-play guy is, well, frankly, it's my real passion. It's one I wish I could have made a living out of. And who knows, had I started earlier in my career, I might have been able to. As I've done throughout my life as a sports writer and now broadcast host, I have shaped the way I do my job based upon some of the people that I've respected most in this business. And that list is way too long to cram into this tiny segment. I've done the same as a play-by-play broadcaster, whether it be in high school games or doing college. This long-winded lead-in is meant to say and pay respect to one of those I certainly followed throughout my youth and really throughout much of my career. Mike Patrick had a flair, and every game he did seemed like it was an important one. For him, it probably was. He certainly seemed to live each moment on air like it was special to him. For more than 3 decades, he called games on ESPN, and most of you probably remember him for calling NFL games on Sunday Night Football for the network from 1987 through the 2005 season. But it was his work in both college football and in basketball in the late 1980s that had me wanting to watch just about any game he did, no matter the opponents. I just wanted to hear Mike Patrick call a game. Very few people have had that impact on me. The game I remember most, some of you old fogies like me will remember, but probably didn't realize that he was the play-by-play announcer. Throughout my life since October the 8th, 1988, I can tell you a whole lot about the earthquake game. I can tell you where I was, who I was with, and how Mike Patrick called that touchdown pass from Tommy Hotson to Eddie Fuller that turned a 6-0 defeat to Auburn into a 7-6 victory. A game that actually registered on the Richter scale in the Baton Rouge area, hence the moniker. But Patrick's call was perfect. It was a combination of heightened importance and exclamation, and its simpleness, of course, all wrapped up into one. Don't believe me? Hear it for yourself. October the 8th, 1988.
4th down, 10 yards to go, 1:47 to go in the game. LSU wins or loses on this play, it would appear. Dropped the touchdown pass, been out of bounds on another one, and caught this. The extra point from Brown Dyke to take the lead. And it's good.
The late, great Mike Patrick, everybody. And then we got to see Mike Archer in there. Remember those days? And I try to forget some of them, too. Until I am done with my last broadcast and sign off here on Dattitude or Varsity Sports Down for the final time, I will think of Mike Patrick's call of the earthquake game and many others and thank him for helping shape my broadcasting style. But today, here, as we wrap up the show, we simply offer our prayers and love to his family and say, R.I.P. Mike Patrick, you will be missed. And that is going to wrap it up for us on this Wednesday. I want to thank today's guest, Eric Asher, Gabe Henderson, and of course, you. You were my guest. You're always my guest. You're part of the family now. I don't even know if you're a guest anymore. You're just here. Just come on in. Open up the fridge. Take what you want. We hope you can join us tomorrow when we will welcome in Zach Ewing and Gabe for our first ever and maybe last ever mock draft. And don't forget about the 5-hour draft show tomorrow night on this same YouTube channel. A reminder to subscribe to our Dattitude YouTube channel. You will always know when we go on the air live, which is generally Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11 a.m. Central Time. And then you can always find us after the fact if you didn't catch us live. You can also find us wherever you get your podcast, including Apple, Spotify, and many more. And find a replay of the show always on NOLA.com/sports. You can find me at bet.NOLA.com. You can find our Saints Insider crew at NOLA.com/sports/Saints. Until we mock it up tomorrow, everyone have a great evening. It's only what? I don't know, 29 hours or so until draft time. Let's get rolling. We'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy, my friends.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.